6 gymnasts who died from a fatal fall. One of the gymnasts on this list attempted a single tumbling move considered so dangerous that after her accident, the International Federation banned it from the sport entirely, a rule that still stands today. Nearly half a century later, she survived the fall itself, but spent the next 26 years of her life unable to move from the neck down before it finally took her life. Her story, and exactly what happened in the seconds before her injury, is our number 1. Gymnastics is actually one of the safest sports there is. Statistically speaking, fatalities in this sport are extraordinarily rare. But when something does go catastrophically wrong on the rings, the bars, or the vault, the consequences are permanent and, sometimes, fatal. These are 6 gymnasts whose careers, and ultimately their lives, ended on the exact apparatus that made them who they were. 6. Anton Malej. Anton Malej represented Yugoslavia at the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics, where he won a bronze medal as part of the men's team competition, a genuine point of national pride for a country still building its Olympic program. 2 years later, at the 1930 World Championships, Malej was competing on the still rings, one of the most physically demanding apparatus in men's gymnastics, requiring immense upper body strength to hold the body completely motionless in mid-air. During his routine, he suffered a serious injury. Details from the era are limited. Gymnastics, journalism in 1930 rarely documented medical specifics the way it does today, but what's clear is that Malej died the very next day, making his case one of the earliest documented fatalities in the sport's competitive history. Malej competed and died in an era with essentially no modern safety protocols, padding standards, or spotting requirements. Nearly 60 years later, a 15-year-old American girl would suffer an almost identical fate, a fall that ended her career instantly on a completely different piece of equipment. 5. Julissa Gomez. Julissa Gomez was one of the brightest rising stars in American gymnastics in the mid-1980s, a Texas teenager with real Olympic ambitions. In May 1988, just months before the Seoul Olympics, she was warming up for a vault during a competition in Tokyo. Attempting a Yurchenko vault, a difficult, high-speed entry that involves a round-off onto the springboard. Her foot slipped at the exact wrong moment. Instead of clearing the vaulting horse, she ran directly into it head first at full speed, instantly paralyzing her from the neck down. What followed was almost as tragic as the accident itself. During treatment at a hospital in Japan, Gomez became disconnected from her ventilator, an error that caused additional severe brain damage and left her in a coma. Her family brought her home and cared for her for 3 more years. She died in August 1991 in Houston from an infection connected to her paralysis, just months short of what would have been her $19 birthday. Gomez's accident became a turning point for the entire sport. It directly led to redesigned vaulting equipment and new safety protocols still used in gyms today. Her case, tragically, wouldn't be the last. 4. Melanie Coleman. Melanie Coleman wasn't chasing the Olympics. She was a 20-year-old junior at Southern Connecticut State University, a former state champion at Jonathan Law High School, studying nursing while still competing at a high level, and volunteering as a youth coach at her old gym. In November 2019, during a training session on the uneven bars at New Era Gymnastics in Hamden, she slipped and fell, landing in a way that caused a severe spinal injury. She was rushed to Yale New Haven Hospital, but the damage was too extensive. She died 2 days later. In the middle of an unimaginable loss, Coleman's family made the decision to donate her organs, a choice they said reflected exactly who she was. Her death happened during an ordinary practice session, not a competition, a reminder that these accidents can happen in the quietest, most routine moments. Just 2 years later, on a different continent, another young gymnast would fall on that exact same apparatus. 3. Severine Emirrod Jalla Abaka. Severine Emirrod Jalla Abaka was a young gymnast representing Cameroon, one of a small but growing number of athletes competing on the uneven bars for African gymnastics federations that operate with a fraction of the funding, equipment, and safety infrastructure available in the US, Russia, or China. In 2021, she suffered a fatal accident on the bars. Detailed international coverage of her death is limited compared to cases in wealthier gymnastics programs itself, a reflection of exactly the resource gap her federation was working against. Her death was a genuine loss for a gymnastics community that had far fewer athletes, coaches, and safety nets to begin with. It's a stark reminder that the risks of this sport aren't evenly distributed around the world. Our next accident happened just months ago, on the opposite side of the globe, to a gymnast with his entire career still ahead of him. 2. Naufal Takdir Albari. Naufal Takdir Albari was a 19-year-old Indonesian gymnast being seriously discussed as a contender for the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, a huge deal for a country without a deep tradition of producing elite, artistic gymnasts. He was training at a camp in Penza, Russia, working on the high bar, when he fell awkwardly and landed badly in a foam landing pit, the kind of padding that's supposed to make falls safe. Instead, he suffered a severe neck injury. He spent 12 days in intensive care while doctors fought to save him, but he died from his injuries. An investigation afterward, led by Russian gymnastics officials, concluded something genuinely troubling. Albari simply hadn't been adequately prepared for the difficulty of the specific move he was attempting when he fell. The vice president of the Russian Gymnastics Federation said as much publicly. Albari's death happened only months ago, cutting short a career that hadn't even peaked yet. And our number one's accident happened over 45 years ago, but it's still the reason one specific move doesn't legally exist in competitive gymnastics anymore. 1. Elena Mukhina. Elena Mukhina was the reigning world all-around champion, the undisputed face of Soviet gymnastics heading into the 1980 Moscow Olympics, a home Olympics her country desperately wanted her to dominate. Weeks before the Games, while still recovering from a broken leg that hadn't fully healed, she was pressured by her coaches to keep training an extremely difficult and dangerous tumbling pass called the Thomas Salto, a move that required a blind rotation with almost no margin for error. On the 3rd of July 1980, she attempted it one more time. She under-rotated the move mid-air, landed directly on her chin instead of her feet, and instantly broke her neck. She was left permanently quadriplegic. She never competed at the Olympics her entire career had been building toward. Mukhina lived for another 26 years, entirely paralyzed from the neck down, before dying in Moscow in December 2006 at 46 years old. In interviews given later in her life, she said plainly that the accident had felt inevitable, that she'd been pushed to attempt a move she wasn't physically ready for. Under pressure, she'd had no real ability to refuse, given how the Soviet sports system worked at the time. In the aftermath of her injury, the International Gymnastics Federation banned the Thomas Salto from competition entirely. Nearly half a century later, that rule still stands, meaning every gymnast competing today owes a small, unspoken debt to the accident that ended Elena Mukhina's life. 6 gymnasts, 6 accidents, on the exact apparatus that made their sport so thrilling to watch in the first place. Gymnastics remains, statistically, an incredibly safe sport overall. These 6 stories are the rare, devastating exceptions that ended up changing the rules for every gymnast who came after them. If one of these stories surprised you, let us know which one in the comments. And subscribe for next week's list of the stories that never quite made the headlines they deserved.